Oh, there.
Kratom, baby.
There you go. You're
Been
on.
talking
You're
about it for fucking months. Here I am
in.
on Kratom.
Been being teased by it.
I have been, really. All these other people are so close that I know, and I'm like,
You just couldn't get your
Kingsbury's
hands on
like,
it.
I'll get you buckets of it. I'm like, give me a bucket of it. He did not give me a bucket of it.
He's a liar.
He is a goddamn liar. I'll be sure to call him that when I see
We'll
him.
have to kick his ass.
That is
If we could.
impossible.
I know.
Is anyone gonna come here and fuck my huge box?
A Turkish man will be seeking justice through legal avenues. He went to the hospital about 3 years ago. He had a fever and just overall not feeling goodness. And he was diagnosed with cancer, lymphoma to be specific, and they started chemotherapy treatments immediately. His brother was suspicious of the diagnosis, went and double-checked the diagnosis. Suspicions proved right. His brother was suffering only from a cold when he went to the hospital, and did not need to receive chemotherapy.
Oh, God. Just did it get rid of the cold?
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, the cold never in the cold within a couple of days.
Fix it right up with a little bit of chemo. Anyway, we have a guest. Chris Bell is here. Those of you that do not know Chris Bell, we're going to get to know him right now. I don't know that much. I know that Catherwood's his friend. I know that he's been on the Joe Rogan show. I know that he's a huge supporter of Kratom. I just took Kratom for the first time right now. So any minute now, I'm going to be way better than I was. I'm looking forward to that. The other thing I know about Chris is that he's really keen on eating meat all the time. And I've got people that come in that are real keen on not eating meat ever again. And, you know, I am not a leader when it comes to this stuff. I have fight friends, and I'm like, ooh, that's interesting. You do that? I'll try that. I jump on bandwagons a lot and test them out to see if they suit me. I've tried to live a plant-based life, and just didn't, in the end, it just didn't fit with me, and I couldn't do it. I didn't notice, I wasn't tired or I didn't have tons of energy either. I can't tell you. Inflammation, did it go down? I really can't tell you. Maybe I just didn't do it consistently enough, but Catherwood said you only eat meat.
Well, I'll tell you how I got into this. In 1995, I moved to California from New York.
Yeah.
And I went to USC Film School. And while I was at USC Film School, I was training at Gold's Gym Venice, the mecca of bodybuilding.
Yeah.
I was a power lifter at the time. I had just come off of a win at Teenage Nationals. I was one of the top power lifters in the country, but I was just too fat to be a competitive power lifter at the next level. So once I got to be older than being a teenager, once I got in my 20s, I was 240 pounds at 20 years old. I needed to lose some weight. And
fat makes it harder to lift weight. I know,
you just
stupid question, but
you want to be in a light, just like fighting. You want to be in a lighter weight class.
To
be stronger, right? So
wait, so in weightlifting, completely clueless guy over here, there's weight classes of weightlifters.
Absolutely, yeah. So I was in the 242 class, and I needed to get down. I needed to weigh around 200 pounds. So I had this guy Ron Fedko, who was my coach at the time, and he was getting his PhD at UCLA. He's actually a brilliant guy. He's at Stanford now. He's the head of the computer science department over there. But back then, he was just a crazy psycho at Gold's Gym. And I said, I don't know how to lose weight. I've always struggled with my weight. And he said, just eat red meat and water. And he's like, until your next competition. And it was 2 months away. So I was a stupid young kid. I just did it. I just went to the store. I got ground beef. I would put mustard on it. And that's all I ate all day, every day. I went into my next competition. I just crushed everybody. I won the California State Championships. I squatted over 600 pounds. No steroids, none of that stuff. And so when I was just stronger than I've ever been before. It felt like I was on steroids. So that's the first time I ever did it. And then I went away from that kind of diet, and I've done keto diets and things like that over the years. But slowly but surely, my hips started to hurt. I had pain in my hips, and I didn't know what it was from. Come to find out, I had genetic arthritis, just like my father had. My dad had a hip replacement at 17 years old. I had both of my hips replaced at 33 years old, and because of the depression and everything that comes along with it. I ended up being a drug addict and an alcoholic because I felt like powerlifting was my thing, and that got taken away from me.
Wow.
Even though I was pretty good at making films, I didn't see that, there's something about like our athletic ability, and when it gets sort of taken from us, that we feel like we've missed out on something. Or as a man, I wasn't.
I can totally relate to that. My skateboard career, just my body couldn't take it anymore, and I had to move on, and I felt like I'd lost who I was. I didn't know who I was. Thank God for the radio, where I could channel my energy into something, because for a second there I was like, everybody that I knew were gonna get on drugs. We're gonna run away.
What are you gonna do when the one thing that you're good at is taken away? And so for me, it turned to drugs and alcohol. And through all this kind of crazy journey, I was making movies. So my first movie was Bigger, Stronger, Faster, and that was about steroids. And both of my brothers were on steroids at the time, and I wanted to find out, if it was healthy or if it was gonna kill them. And I found out that steroids probably aren't as bad as people think they are, but they can have their dangers to them. So I sort of made what I think is a balanced film about, steroid abuse in America.
Do you use it? I mean, have you used it?
Yeah, right now I'm on testosterone replacement therapy.
Okay, so am I.
Yeah, and so
Wait, so you count that as a steroid?
Absolutely, yeah, that's steroids.
Oh, fuck yeah, then. I've been on steroids for a while now.
Yeah, so, I mean...
Man, every time I joke about being on steroids, I'm not joking.
Yeah, you're not joking.
I am on steroids.
Every steroid is some sort of derivative of testosterone. It's just a matter of it's more anabolic, which is muscle building, or catabolic, or anabolic or androgenic, I should say. Catabolic is the breakdown of muscle. Anabolic steroids are both anabolic and what they call androgenic. So they're actually anabolic androgenic steroids. So they have the male sex characteristics are the androgenic part, and the muscle building parts are the anabolic part.
Okay.
So some of them have both, and they'll give you more strength and power, like Anadrol. That's a really powerful steroid.
Yeah.
It's highly androgenic and highly anabolic.
It's not some good for your body, though, is it?
No.
Right.
The more powerful it is, the worse it is for your body. You have something like Anavar, highly anabolic, very low androgenic, won't produce all those sex characteristics. So therefore, a lot of women you'll see using it. It'll give them a little bit of the sex characteristics, but not all of them.
I am seeing that a lot in the gym these days, where I've had some trainer friends of mine going, "You don't really think that it's possible to achieve that body all day, do you?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" It's like, this chick looks like this because she's on stuff, dude. Like he's like almost every girl I train now is on some shit.
Yep.
Because they take, you can't Anavar, and they take clenbuterol.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of them are on stuff. I mean, it's to me that's why I went back to a ketogenic diet, actually, because...
What's a ketogenic for people that don't know that?
Ketogenic's like a high-fat, low-carb... It's a high-fat, low-carb, moderate protein diet. And that's what I started with. I went back to that. Actually, I was trying to finish my story. I was actually, after I had the hip replacement surgeries, and was...
Both hips?
Yeah, both hips replaced, and went to rehab. When I was in rehab, I actually started a ketogenic diet. So the food was so bad in the rehab I originally went to, which was Claire Foundation in Santa Monica. Yeah. It's like a state-run place. Yeah. The service that I got there was actually great because it was a great program, but the food wasn't great. And so I told them I was allergic to carbohydrates. I had to get a note from a doctor, which I went out of my way to do. And basically
before you went in?
Yeah, before I went in, I had to tell him I was like.
So you've been really diet kind of like when you go to rehab, because I've been to rehab too, and you go, what's your food? What food are you going to be serving there when I'm in rehab? Well, you're fucking really watching what you.
So I wasn't. I was really fat. I was like 265 pounds going into rehab.
Okay.
And what I knew was like, well, shit, man. If I go in there and I'm eating bread and gluten and all these things, wow. and I'm eating sugar, I just knew too much about it.
So you just
if I'm putting those things in my body, I might as well be putting drugs in my body. And, I just decided to make a commitment to changing my life overall. And it was a long journey. I mean, it was like I was addicted to Diet Coke so bad that I would drink, like in rehab, I drank 12 Diet Cokes a day. That's not healthy, so I had to slowly like switch out of these things. I was addicted to almost everything. I was addicted to sugar. I was addicted to candy.
Do you no longer eat sugar?
No, not at all.
At all?
Not at all. I haven't had it in a really long time. I'm sure sugar...
Is that fucking hard to do? Because, man,
Not at all. When you stop eating sugar and you start eating things that are whole foods, it doesn't matter if you're eating all meat. You don't need to go carnivore. The reason
You eat vegetables, right?
No, not at all. But the reason that I don't, the reason that I went carnivore is very specific. I have arthritis really bad, and it really, really helps. I think if you look at people like Jordan Peterson and Michaela Peterson, they're they're two people that have some kind, some sort of fame to them that are on the carnivore diet, and they both have like really bad autoimmune issues that have been completely, fixed by this diet. It's basically an elimination diet. We eliminate a lot of things, so let's not get it twisted. I don't think there's anything magical about steak. I do think steak is one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. So if you're gonna pick a single food, it'd be steak. It'd be, you might be able to get away with doing it with salmon, but I know that you can eat steak all day and not die. I don't think you could do that with anything else, and that's sort of the basis.
Well,
of the
that's
diet.
not true. You can totally eat like plants and
Eggs,
vegetables
maybe?
and live off that for the rest of your life.
But I'm
too.
saying,
So
like,
if you
one.
pick- if you pick one
I'm
food.
picking one food.
Oh,
If
okay.
you know, if I'm sorry,
Multiple
yeah.
foods have multiple nutrients.
I don't know
right?
what
So-
has what, sweet potato or steak.
Oh, steak.
A steak.
Really?
Yeah. Steak is very nutrient dense. The only thing a steak doesn't have is it's low in vitamin C, but when you're not eating carbohydrates, you're not competing for glucose absorption with vitamin C, so you don't need as much vitamin C, supposedly, when you're on a carnivore diet. A lot of this stuff hasn't even been researched yet. That's like another thing, is they've not done a whole lot of research on just a strictly carnivore diet. So,
But really quickly, you don't eat any vegetables or fruits or seeds or any of that?
no,
Do you
because
take
a
any
lot
supplements?
of it, a lot of it causes inflammation, and a lot
But,
of it.
but how can you say that when everybody else says that if eating plants and vegetables and not eating meat is what causes
Ask a vegan
inflammation?
how much time they spend in the bathroom. A lot of people have to.
What does that mean?
They have to, when you eat a lot of plants and vegetables.